Hello, so you're listening to Soho Radio and it's time to introduce my live guest, a previous guest on the show, Tim from Cubicolor.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
The last time you were in on the show was like, we were just talking, it's probably 2019.
I think it
end
was
of the year.
End of 2019, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd just done our album and then, a lot of things happened.
A lot
after
happened. How was that time for you as a musician?
I mean, that's such a hard thing, isn't it? Like, it was like, I think like a lot of people at the start, it was really just weird. I was super lucky. Like, I have a little space in my house to make music in, little studios. So it was like, I don't know, it was kind of, a lot of musicians said it was like the gift of a lot of free studio time, but then just didn't know what to do with it. Do you know what I mean? And couldn't write, didn't know what to write about. But once it had become a bit normal, then it was really sick for me. Like, I just really got into the zone and just like, I was so lucky to have that outlet every day. Do you know what I mean? And the endlessness of it all. So
it kind of felt like dead time, didn't it, in some ways? And then there was times where it was like, I suppose it's probably quite hard for artists and musicians to feel inspired in that time. So it would ebb and flow maybe a little bit.
For sure. Or just at the beginning, I just didn't know what to write about. And it felt like something really big was happening. And it was just too big to write about that. And then it felt a bit futile or something, or just kind of pointless to write about anything else. I don't know. And I was just also like, I found it really tough at the beginning. And then was very kind of critical of myself when I did anything. But then after a while, it became really good and really productive. And we actually wrote a whole album doing it. So it became, once it kind of got normalised, it was like, it's not going to change. So you've got to do something, right? So just jumped in,
And obviously Peter and Ariane are both Dutch and they're based in Amsterdam. So did you kind of go back to a way of like working remotely where you were sending back and forth again?
Yeah, and that was strange for me, man. Like, I've obviously always written bits by myself, but certainly with Cubi, it was just always been a big collaborative project. So it was always kind of a lot of stuff done in the room together and I'd be over and down doing that. But then it's really unlocked something. I think a lot of people have said this too, that it's kind of unlocked something really interesting. We were forced to kind of find my own energy in the studio. Do you know what I mean? Like going into the studio most days, I have some musician friends who live near me, so I would jam with them a bit. But a lot of the days, it's just me on my own in the studio, kind of having to drum up that energy on your own. Is like, it's a big lesson to learn how to do that. And then I really, really enjoyed it, that I could kind of do my thing. And it was a really nice kind of pleasing artistic exchange where I'd send the guys projects, they'd work on it, send it back. And then just have my own space and my time to do my work on stuff was really, really nice. Yeah, I liked it.
Did you kind of have quite a 9-to-5 attitude about it? Or was it just
God,
like...
no.
Actually, no, I feel like in the past we've spoken, you're quite big fan of a late night sesh, right?
I'm nocturnal,
Yeah.
So I was like keeping like student hours basically, which is my natural, like they're my circadian rhythms.
Like going to bed at, as the sun's coming up.
Not
kind of
quite
thing.
that bad, but definitely like dinner after midnight, say. And then I don't know, there's something really magic for me about working at night, particularly in a city when it's kind of quiet and people are asleep. I really like that time. So I got quite felt quite studenty, but in a really pleasing way. It was just like there's nothing else you can do. Do you know what I mean? So you can't go anywhere. So I was lucky to have the space, and the gear to write stuff, because without that would have been like, dark.
Yeah.
Hard.
And there's this new record which has kind of come out of it, but then it's actually, so am I right in saying that this new record, Sometime Not Now, a lot of the tracks are from that record that you scrapped before Hardly a Day, Hardly a Night? Because I remember when you came in last time in 2019, you were about to put out Hardly a Day, Hardly a Night, and you were like, it was kind of a hard journey here. We scrapped a whole record. Yeah,
we did. We chucked the whole thing away. I think actually there's only maybe one or two now that came from the record we chucked. And then the rest were kind of just done from sessions for that record for our second album. Even one on there's from our first album sessions we ever did. And it was just like a process, because we couldn't get together. We write a lot of music when we are together, and obviously so many things get put on the shelf or stay unfinished and stuff like that. So we were able to go back to those early projects and kind of just reimagine them in the kind of freedom of having really no constraints on us about what happened to that material and things like that. So it was really pleasing. And I suppose it was kind of going back to material that when we were in a room together, do you know what I mean, now that we couldn't be.
Yeah.
And thinking like, oh, what about that song? And I don't know, it was a good experience in the sense of there's so much back catalogue with musicians, and everyone has this enormous pile of unreleased stuff. So it was really nice to kind of go back and just pay a bit more attention to it and actually find within it some really nice moments that kind of led us into this new record. And then we started writing material off that, and then before we knew it, we had the whole album. It was really lovely. Yeah.
And did you find some tracks just take on a whole new life when you revisited them? Yeah,
it's that thing of you kind of stop caring about them so much. You know what I mean? When you're kind of wrestling with a track that hasn't resolved itself in your mind, you kind of, a lot of it I think is because you really you want something from it that you can't quite get or whatever. And if you kind of just put something on a shelf a bit, you can come back to it, and those kind of desires or whatever it was that was upsetting you about the record or that was unresolved, just you've forgotten them if it's 4, 3, 2 years later, whatever. So you can kind of really approach it as like a new song, and a lot of the time you couldn't even remember, what happened in the song and stuff. So it felt very fresh, and much easier to kind of edit and write off them, and if you just care less.
I think that's the mode for life.
Care
right?
less, man.
Give 0 Fs. I mean, you could swear, but we'll just keep it PG today. That's the thing. It's like actually kind of letting go on stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Certain things.
Exactly.
And did you feel like there was anything that kind of ranks a lot of the themes of this so far from the tracks that we've heard, which we're going to kind of get into, play some of it, introspection and self-reflection kind of themes, I suppose, within it? Did you find that anything weirdly rang true? Because this is stuff that you'd written before the global pandemic and the last couple of years.
Definitely. We start the record with a song called All Tied Up, which is a song, I don't even know when we started demoing that, but it was a long time ago. And the whole kind of atmosphere of the song is one of kind of emotional constriction or paralysis, and so it was really strange to listen back to that in the middle of the kind of first lockdowns, just being about being tied up and unable to move, and thinking, oh, that is quite resonant for today, isn't it? So it was really nice, like unexpectedly, to kind of find those themes from those early songs, and then start to see a way to like a fuller record after that. It was really it was really interesting. Satisfying.
And let's talk about Easy Mark. So we'll play this one first, which is the most recent taster, I think, of the record. I love this.
Oh,
love it.
Thank you.
There's a bit of drumming here.
There is, yeah.
UK jazz drummer.
Richard Spaven, yeah. He was a guy we did a tour with a few years ago. He's the most incredible drummer and amazing dude. So it was really lovely to kind of find a way to kind of get that material, out in the world and stuff. He's a very special player, really special dude. So it was really nice, to do that. He's now drumming for all kinds of amazing people. Lyle Carner, I think he's on tour with at the moment. So we had a session with him in Amsterdam. Anyone who's heard him play or worked with him will know he's a complete freak. So it was really, really beautiful. And then, we kind of saved him up for the very last movement of that song. And he does an amazing job. Yeah,
and it just gives it that kind of rhythmic drumming instrumentation, doesn't it? It's sort of quite hypnotic.
Yeah, and we're
driving drums, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. And we're kind of we're not just straight electronic producers. Do you know what I mean? Like, Peter's an incredible keyboard player, piano player. I'm a guitarist, so we try and I think a big part of the QB sound is to try and bring that instrumentation and that kind of musicality into the kind of heavily produced electronic music as much as we can. So it was really wonderful to find a way to kind of get live drums on there as well, albeit in quite a processed way. But hopefully more of that to come. Yeah, for sure.
And is there anything you can say about it lyrically, or where the inspiration for this? I mean, it was probably a while back.
I never know how to explain my lyrics, or maybe I do and I just don't like it. But it's a kind of idea about it. It's a chase in my head. When I write lyrics, it's quite a visual thing. It's almost kind of filmic, and I have to kind of see this world I'm in, or there's some atmosphere around it, and feel that. And that one was very much just felt like a chase sequence to me, and something chasing you, but where the kind of prey or the person being chased kind of wants to be caught. I think there's some deep emotional analysis you could make of that. But Yeah, that's what I felt doing that. And we're actually working with Cal Bain and Andreas Brooks, who these do a company called Wide Eyed, on a video about that, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, that sounds
Stay
good.
tuned.
Yeah, well, let's hear it. This is Cubicolor, Easy Mark. So that is the sound of brand new Cubicolor, Easy Mark, and I'm joined by Tim, who is the frontman, singer, guitarist of this glorious project.
Yes.
That is phenomenal, and like you said, yeah, shout out Richard Spaven. That drumming is just really, really adds another layer to the track.
Unbelievable.
So
Unbelievable
good,
guy.
so good. So I guess, so when did sessions for Sometime Not Now? So I mean, you were kind of reworking some old stuff, and did you have that time to get together in Amsterdam?
We didn't for a long time.
Yeah.
It was like a good year, a good year apart. And then, that's when we had to really get into the sense of like, okay, we're just going to have to make this work where we are. And then really kind of jumping into that process, actually, it was really like exciting to be able to start an idea at home and kind of work up a musical idea and send it over and see what they would come back with. And it was this kind of really nice exchange. So we just started doing that a lot, and that became really good. It was quite hard to kind of finally put stuff to bed. And I did eventually, like in a break, I think, between after the second lockdown or something, go over to Amsterdam. We all got in the room. And that was really amazing to kind of be together again. And also to kind of finish all this material we've been working on over the year and stuff. And then, so it was kind of, it was a tricky start. But once we got into it, it was actually really, really pleasing. It's actually kind of hard to go back now. I was like, I don't like anyone else in my space anymore.
You've become acclimatized.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why are you so close to me in my room?
Get away, stop breathing on me. Yeah. And that's, so, I mean, for people that haven't heard of you, I mean, this is third studio album, I guess, proper record from Cubicolor. So you guys have been doing it for a bit, but just talk me through kind of how you and Peter and Arian I suppose started to make music together, because it's such a it's kind of quite a serendipitous thing, isn't it? That you'd all come together.
It was weird, because like there's a lot of times like if you work in music at all, you kind of wonder. I wonder if there was a moment when like everything changed, or like one thing that happened, because usually it just feels actually more just like a very slow creep. But this one was genuinely like I was making music with a band before I joined Cuba, or even knew about them, called Duologue. And then, just kind of that ended, and I had this kind of little freak out in between hearing anything else, being like, what am I going to do with myself? And then got an email from someone saying that this new project, Cubicolor, were looking for a singer, and they had this demo of a song called Falling that was kind of an early instrumental of the song, and would I want to give it a go and sing on stuff? And I didn't actually for a little bit. I didn't know where. I was just kind of funny place and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. And then, it was like kind of sang on that, and then they liked that, kind of sent that back to them. They really liked it. Went over to Amsterdam, and we kind of just started writing and found that we wrote together really, really quickly, and ended up putting the first album together in a really short space of time. Actually, about a few weekends. We'd written, not a lot of work went in after that, but we'd written the body of the songs by then. So it was genuinely like that tune definitely changed my life, in the sense that would never have met the guys, would never have been where we are now. Third album comes out this week, so very serendipitous thing. It's sort of like it's kind of rare those actual moments when you can actually refine it to like one moment. Because I very nearly didn't sing on that tune. I remember being really hungover, and like. When I'm hungover, I can only sing like really high. For some reason, it's really weird. I have no chest voice, so I can only sing with my like a falsetto. And I was like lying on the bed, listening to it, thinking like, you should just do something. And then ended up singing the chorus, which is all really hard, falsetto, and sending that, thinking like, they never like that. And then they really liked it. So it's now whenever I listen back to it, I just think, God, I was just hungover when I did that.
I love that.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, Tim, the stats are pretty big these days. I'm just having a little peruse of your press release for this album. 70 million streams across those 3 albums.
It does sound like a lot, doesn't it?
70 million?
I can't really get. It's too much to get your head around that.
I mean, I know that people certainly I mean, people that found out about you off the back of Brain Sugar, then Hardly a Day, Hardly a Night kind of, I suppose, cemented that in a lot of ways for a lot of people. But yeah, 70 mil.
70 big ones.
Wowee.
Lucky us, man.
That's a lot of people
beautiful.
Connecting with it, you know? Like that's what
that's amazing, man. Thank you for everyone out there listening.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then obviously third record as well with Anjunadeep. And it's just kind of like touring seems to be going from strength to strength, like the live thing.
Trying to, it's a tricky one. Obviously, every man's going to tell you at the moment it's a tricky thing to be touring, but we're lining everything up for kind of February, get back out to America, Canada next year, and then try and do a European run. And hopefully do a kind of full live thing, because often when we tour, it's just Arian and I, two of the three members. So we're going to try and do a little run of European shows with Peter, the granddaddy of Cubicolor. So it'd be nice to get him on the road as well.
Yeah. And we're going to hear another track, so I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure we can play another couple, I think. But Summer and Smoke, anything to say about that?
That was a lovely little lockdown story, you know, because I got hit up by Andre and me, one of the three members of Kind of Music. And it was just the start of lockdown. We met each other quite briefly at a festival one time, and he just had a few demos, and he was, you know, as we all were, just sitting in our studios. And he was like, yeah, do you want to do some stuff together? And started sending me some tracks, all of which were brilliant. I think all this stuff is amazing, all their stuff too. But as we were saying, it was quite early on in the first lockdown, and I just couldn't get my stuff together. Like, I wasn't happy with anything I was doing. And I was just kind of sweating over these demos all day, and I was like, man, I can't find a thing I like. And I remember writing back to him and just being like, man, I'm really sorry, man, I just can't find anything on this, thinking that I've kind of messed that opportunity up a bit, and just apologising for being shit. And then he was just so cool. He was just like, don't even worry about it, like, this is all like lockdown stuff, isn't it? So we just got to keep going. And he just kept sending me these amazing little demos until one of them clicked, and it wasn't actually Summer and Smoke. We did a song for the Kind of Music album called Before the Flood, and it was one of those lovely moments in music where like the whole thing just came at once to me. Do you know what I mean? I sang the vocal, I think, and written it in about 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, like finally I've done something I don't hate. And then that was really lovely. So they put that on their album. And then, we'd done quite a few little ideas together, and we started working up another one that Andre had sent us, and that became Summer and Smoke. So it was a really lovely, like, kind of, just a little artistic exchange, really. Like, took a song each, and really beautiful music. I loved it. It was a really nice way to work remotely. Like, we were never in the same space together. And it was just, kind of working with people you don't know, but hearing that you're hearing the same thing as the song gets passed back and forth. And every time
the same language,
everyone,
kind of thing,
and every time everyone touches it, it makes it better. And it was just really easy and like, really, really nice to do.
Well, this is it. This is Summer and Smoke, Cubicolor. So the sound of Summer and Smoke by Cubicolor. I'm going to wrap up quite soon, but I'm joined in the studio by Tim, the front man of this awesome project.
Yes.
The album comes out on Friday.
It does, yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, man.
Third record out in the world for everybody to enjoy.
3. Wow.
What is next for Cube? Like, are you starting to think about next plans?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with like an album comes out, it's like you're already onto the next thing. You know what I mean? You're already like deep into the next material. So we're already writing, but putting together some live stuff. We're going to get out to India hopefully end of the year.
Amazing.
It'd be beautiful to do that. And then North America, Europe, Q1 apparently is the technical term next year. So looking forward to it, man.
Which UK? Where are you doing UK stuff?
Definitely a London thing.
Yeah.
We just have to. We're still kind of in planning. So I think we do London and then like a few other things around Europe. Basically, Peter, who is going to join us, has a lot of cats to look after, so he has to get back to his cats, so we can't take him too far from them.
I do remember you saying when you were talking about making the cats, loads of cats.
Lots of cats.
And does he live on a barge, like a Dutch boat, like a boat?
The studio's
the studio's on a boat,
big old barge
in
outside Amsterdam. But
awesome.
He doesn't live there anymore, but it's a wonderful place to make music. Strange place, but in a good way.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to finish with Brain Sugar. I just picked this one. It's a classic.
Thank you.
For anyone that hasn't heard of you, I feel like this is one of the more ravier moments.
Yeah, man.
From the last record. No, from the first record. First
yeah.
record, way back. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to see you.
It's been lovely to see you.
And yeah, good luck with all the touring and enjoy the album release and everything.
Thank you.
Sometime Not Now is out this Friday, guys, from Cubicolor. And thank you so much for listening to the show. I'll be back in 4 weeks' time. It's been Georgie Rogers. It's been Music Discovery. I will see you very soon. We'll finish with this, Brain Sugar from Cubicolor.